أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين وصلى اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين. Bro, whenever you're ready, please begin. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We are reading from the flashes, the 26th flash, which is the Treatise for the Elderly, the Seventh Hope. So let's start it. One time, at the start of my old age, when the laughter of the old side was being transformed into the weeping of the new side. Supposing me still to be the old side, the worldly in Ankara invited me there, and I went. At the close of autumn, I climbed to the top of the citadel, which was far more aged, dilapidated, and worn out than me. I climbed to the top of the citadel, which was far more aged, dilapidated, and worn out than me. It seemed to me to be formed of petrified historical events. The old age of the season of the year, together with my old age, the citadel's old age, mankind's old age, the old age of the glorious Ottoman Empire, and the death of the Caliphate's rule, and the world's old age, all caused me to look in a most grieved, piteous, and melancholy state in that lofty citadel at the valleys of the past and the mountains of the future. As I experienced an utterly black state of mind in Ankara, encompassed by 4 or 5 layers of the darknesses of old age, one within the other, I sought a light, a solace, a hope. As I sought consolation, looking to the right, that is to the past. I sought consolation looking to the right, that is to the past. My father and forefathers and the human race appeared in the form of a vast grave and filled me with gloom rather than consoling me. Seeking a remedy, I looked to the future. Which was to my left. I saw that it appeared as a huge dark grave for myself, my contemporaries, and future generations. It produced horror in place of familiarity. So the future produced horror in place of familiarity. Feeling desolate in the face of the left and right, I looked at the present day. The present day appeared to my heedless historical eye as a coffin bearing my half-dead, suffering and desperately struggling corpse. So despairing of that direction too, I raised my head and looked at the top of the tree of my life, and there was my corpse. It stood at the top of the tree and was watching me. I raised my head and looked at the top of the tree of my life, and there was my corpse. It stood at the top of the tree and was watching me. Feeling horror at this direction too, I bowed my head. I looked to the foot of the tree of my life, to its roots, and saw that the soil there, the earth which was the source of my creation, and the dust of my bones mixed together, was being trampled underfoot. I bowed my head. I looked to the foot of the tree of my life, to its roots, and saw that the soil there, the earth, which was the means of my creation, and the dust of my bones mixed together, was being trampled underfoot. That was no remedy. It only added further pain to my affliction. Then I was forced to look behind me. I saw that this unstable, transient world was tumbling, disappearing into the valleys of nothingness and the darkness of non-existence. I was seeking a salve for my pain, but it only added poison. Since I could see no good in that direction, I looked in front of me. I sent my view forward to the future. I saw that the door of the grave was open right in the middle of my path. I sent my view forward to the future. I saw that the door of the grave was open right in the middle of my path. It was watching me with its mouth agape. The highway beyond it, which stretched away to eternity. The highway beyond it, which stretched away to eternity, and the convoys traveling that highway, struck the eye from the distance. But apart from a limited will as my support and defensive weapon, in the face of the horrors coming from these 6 directions, I had nothing. Apart from a limited will as my support and defensive weapon, in the face of the horrors coming from these 6 directions, I had nothing. Okay. I'll continue reading because so far the author is just describing his feelings on how when he's looking at himself and the experience he's going through as the everything he sees with the old age that he's experiencing, his realization is awakening further and further, and everything that he's been interacting with, like when he went to his sees his some of his old friends, as he was says in a particular place, and he recalls the old, like the building and everything, that it reminds him of the old things, and everything seems really uh, old and sad, and puts one in a very strange dilemma or situation, and which is what the author is picturing himself and trying to make us understand that where look where do you look for light and a solace and a hope, he says, and then he tries to look everywhere around in the universe, goes back and forth into the, he looks to the right, which signifies his past, and doesn't see anything that can help him because he sees whatever is in the past is gone, it's no longer there. Now he looks, to the uncertainty of the future, and then he sees like things are the way the universe is pretty much dying at every moment, and he sees his change going on, and he's realizing that, yeah, no matter what stage one is at, then at the end, after certain stage, the future is the grave. So that is the situation that the author is portraying in terms of, where this is how the past and the future is, and then even in the present, when he looks at it, to his presence also seems to remind him that things are changing, and the reality of his being in terms of the human being's reality of being subject to whatever the change in this universe that everybody is experiencing. So that is a very realistic kind of walkthrough in terms of every human being's life. Everybody can relate to this in terms of maybe at different stages and levels, but really, if you can, everybody has and can look at their past and can foresee, what is going on with the changes in the future, and what is, their present situation. What is that telling them also? How can they explain the changes that is going on, and what kind of, really, what does the human being have in terms of, in order to seek help, in terms of seeking the meaning behind what all this changes are that are doing that are going on, how to really take that into your human existential satisfaction. So I guess then he starts talking about the will, and then that's where I stop. So I will continue on to discuss what he means by when he says the only thing that he seems to have is what he calls limited will as his support and defensive weapon, and which he says is the only thing that is there in face of the horrors coming from every direction. So I will continue to read whatever he says about what he means by this limited will. But if anybody at this stage has any comment or wants to speak or say something, please raise your hand. Otherwise, we can always come back once this, I think, about 2 pages more to read, because this first 3 paragraphs were more of setting up the scenario of the reality of this world, the human reality. And now I think he is going into what is there and how to further try to understand this. So I'll continue reading. So this is on page 293, and it starts from the faculty of will. The faculty of will, man's only weapon against those innumerable enemies and endless harmful things, is both defective and short and weak, and lacks the power to create. The faculty of will, man's only weapon against those innumerable enemies and endless harmful things, is both defective and short and weak, and lacks the power to create. So lacks the power to create. So he is capable of nothing apart from acquisition. So man is capable of nothing apart from acquisition. It could neither pass to the past, it could neither pass to the past in order to silence the sorrows which came to me from there. So the faculty of will could neither pass to the past in order to silence the sorrows which came to me from there, nor could this faculty of will penetrate the future to prevent the fears which arose from there. Yeah, so if the will, there's no such thing as if I want to go into the past, there's nothing I can do to bring the past back, and there's no way I can go into the future. except, yeah, physically there's nothing as is, we can see that, yeah, our whatever the power of will is, whatever the choice that we make, whatever we this, how we see what the universe is, what it is conveying, and that has to do with our, the power of will. What do we attribute whatever we act or we see or whatever we are doing in this world? So that there's, but that's only a choice that is made. It's not that based on that choice we are making something, or something is, there's no power to make something or to give existence. That nothing in the universe, can see nothing that is capable of creating anything or giving existence to anything. So even the only weapon that the author is mentioning, which is the faculty of will, is also defective and weak, and it cannot change anything in terms of going or create anything, but it can only attribute. That's the only thing that it can make sense and choose that, in terms of making the choice of questioning, making the choice of realizing, making the choice of understanding. That's the only thing that the power of will is able to do. So he could neither pass to the past in order to silence the sorrows which came to me from there, nor could will penetrate the future to prevent the fears which arose from there. I saw that it was of no benefit for my hopes and pains concerning the past and future. As I was struggling in the horror, desolation, darkness, and despair, proceeding from these 6 directions, the lights of belief which shine in the sky of the Quran of miraculous exposition suddenly came to my assistance. They lit up and illuminated those 6 directions to such a degree that if the terrors and darkness I had seen increased 100-fold, the light would still have been sufficient to meet them. One by one, it transformed all those horrors. So the message that the Quran brings transformed all those horrors into solace and the desolation into familiarity. It was as follows. Belief rent asunder the desolate view of the past as a vast grave, and showed it with utter certainty to be a familiar, enlightened gathering of friends. So the message the Quran brings is, which he says, belief, which totally changes the view in terms of whatever was seen as something really horrific in terms of the past as a grave, and showed it with utter, and then it changes that into showing the grave as something that is familiar, enlightened gathering of friends. This is a complete shift in terms of understanding of what the, whatever the pain and the suffering that the human being was going through in terms of their existence. So this belief and this message that the, coming from your source of existence, who must be telling you something, must talk to you, is really changing, totally changing the perspective on what you can see in terms of the way you see the world. So the belief, next one is belief showed the future which had appeared in the form of a huge grave to my heedless eyes, to be most certainly a banquet of the most merciful one in delightful palaces of bliss. So the future which had appeared in the form of a huge grave to my heedless eyes, now with belief or with the message, shows that it to be a most certainly a banquet of the most merciful one in delightful places of bliss. So completely upside down view in terms of something that was something horrible, horrific, a huge grave now becomes something like a banquet. And you see happiness, delightful palaces of bliss. So belief again rent the view of present time as a coffin, as it had appeared to my heedless view, and showed it with certainty to be a place of trade for the hereafter and a glittering guest house of the all-merciful one. So it covered the past, the right, the left, the future, and then the present time. It had appeared to my heedless view and showed it was certain to be a place of trade for the hereafter and a glittering guest house of the all-merciful one. So this present, this universe, although it was, with a particular, the way the change was happening and everything becoming old, and it seemed very sorrowful. Now it became a place, where you can realize a place of trade for the hereafter. Yeah, we can see what that means, but that means, what I understand is, this becomes a means for you to understand what the qualities that you are reading and what the meaning that one is getting from this, their present situation in the universe, and can realize based on how this connection, that if you realize it, to your source of existence, and how it can become a glittering guest house that one is being entertained here and being taken care of. That's how the present time becomes. So to continue, in terms of the belief showed with utter certainty that the only fruit at the top of the tree of life was not a corpse as had appeared to my neglectful eye, but that my spirit, which would manifest eternal life and was designated for eternal happiness, would leave its worn out home to travel around the stars. Belief showed with utter certainty that the only fruit at the top of the tree of life was not a corpse as had appeared to my neglectful eye, but that my spirit, which would manifest eternal life and was designated for eternal happiness, would leave its worn out home to travel around the stars. Yeah, so really the human existence, see, when one would think that death is the end of the human being, but it's really the, the body, the worn out, whatever, because man is not only a material body, or flesh or bones, but there's something within man that, the human being, they have some feelings, they have emotions. I remember Mariam, she's there, she was mentioning about that last time. There's person thinks around things when they're writing, they have some ideas that come around. So when Mariam's dad probably brings something home, she's very pleased with that. So all those things, tells that man is not just something that is material or skin or body, but there is something within the being that is a complex kind of spirit, as is mentioned in the text. And that is what my spirit, which would manifest eternal life and was designated for eternal happiness. So whatever is being used by the human body, as I would see, is, is the temporary place for the spirit, for this world, but the spirit is not for this world. So this spirit is actually is from where it came from. it is something that is, based on your human question, your realization on how are you really, as a human being, are we really seeking eternal life? Do we really want to, be like satisfied, not just temporarily, but forever? So eternal satisfaction, then that is what the spirit is actually calling out for. And then that's what the belief, at least the word being used here, brings to one's life. So let's continue. And through its mystery, belief showed that my bones and the earth, that was this, I don't know why it says source, so I was just substituting it with means. Yeah, belief showed that my bones and the earth that was the means of my creation were not valueless, pulverized bones trampled underfoot, but that the earth was the door to divine mercy and veil before the halls of paradise. The earth was the door to divine mercy and veil before the halls of paradise. Because the earth is full of meanings that needs to be extracted, and the meanings only points to the absolute qualities of the one who is giving the meaning, or who is showing, it's displaying, manifesting its, the different qualities, such as, compassion, kindness, mercy, beauty. So that is what um, the earth represents, is a veil before the halls of paradise. And let's continue. And through the mystery of the Quran, belief showed that the world which had appeared to my heedless eye, a stumbling behind me into nothingness and non-existence, to consist of missives of the eternally bestowed one, and pages of decorations and embroideries, glorifying God, which had completed their duties, stated their meanings, and left their results in existence in their place. It made known with complete certainty the true nature of the world. And through the mystery of the Quran, belief showed that the world which had appeared to my heedless eye as a stumbling behind me in nothingness and non-existence. So this world is to consist of missives of the eternally besought one, and pages of decorations and embroideries glorifying God, which had completed their duties, stated their meanings, and left their results in existence in their place. So everything in the world now becomes a messenger or something that brings meaning about their absolute source. And all the things that we see in the universe and the world are, you can think of them, or you can, as an analogy, as pages. Every day, every season, every moment that you go through is something like is a message that is brought to you by the source of the one who brings this world into existence. And then, yes, so the pages and decoration and embroideries glorifying God, which had completed their duties, stated their meanings, and left their results in existence in their place. So how we observe in the world, where the one season is gone, then the next comes in. So after it has completed its duty, it has left a mark signifying who brought that into existence, shows, introduces one to their absolute source, and then they leave. Same thing with the plants and the humans and the animals. Once they've completed their duties, they have, they have signified, and everything has pointed out in terms of what they meant to that they are coming in from an absolute source of existence. Okay, so let's continue on. This is at least a pretty long read. So, and through the light of the Quran, belief showed that the grave which would open its eyes and look at me in the future was not the mouth of a well. The grave which opened its eyes and looked at me in the future was not the mouth of a well, but that it was the door to the world of light. So something that seemed dark as a grave now becomes a door to the world of light. And that the highway which stretched to eternity beyond it led not to nothingness and non-existence, but to existence, a realm of light and eternal bliss. And that the highway which stretched to eternity beyond it led not to nothingness and non-existence, but to existence, a realm of light and eternal bliss. Since belief demonstrated this to a degree which afforded utter conviction, it was both a remedy and a salve for my afflictions. And in place of a very minor ability to receive, belief puts a document into the hand of the limited faculty of will. And in place of a very minor ability to receive, belief puts a document into the hand of the limited faculty of will, through which it may rely on an infinite power and be connected to a boundless mercy in the face of those innumerable enemies and layers of darkness. Indeed, belief is a document in the hand of man's will. And although this human weapon of will is in itself both short, powerless, and deficient, just as when a soldier utilizes his partial strength on account of the state, he performs duties far exceeding his own strength. So too, through the mystery of belief, if the limited faculty of will is used in the name of Almighty God and in His way, it may gain also a paradise as broad as 500 years. So here again, he's bringing what the faculty of will, how belief helps that faculty of will. He says it puts like a document in hand in terms of how to evaluate and realize, how to direct basically your human side to realize things are, cannot just be happening by themselves. They're not just made themselves, but they are actually being given, being brought about by the one who gives them existence. And so this human is in, although he says the human will is short, is powerless, is weak, but based on how the human being directs their focus, their attention in terms of, their consciousness, how that is employed, or how they, all the human faculties are employed, then that's where the free will is able to do much more than what it, like the capacity or whatever the limited faculty, as he calls it, which can do a a huge amount of work. And the analogy is giving, just like a small soldier can do a lot in the name of the, whoever their chief is. So this is how the human faculty can really excel by employing all the human faculties, in terms of realizing their, who Almighty God or the source of existence is. So last two paragraphs, let's do that. And I will, of course, give everybody a chance to comment on this, inshallah. And belief takes from the hands of the body the reins of the faculty of will. Belief takes from the hands of the body the reins of the faculty of will, which cannot penetrate to the past and future, and hands them over to the heart and spirit. Belief takes from the hands of the body the reins of the faculty of will, which cannot penetrate to the past and future, and hands them over to the heart and spirit. So this heart and spirit is what the human side of the human being is. Since the sphere of their life is not restricted to present time like the body, since the sphere of their life is not restricted to present time like the body, and included within it are a great many years from the past and a great many years from the future. The will ceases being limited and acquires universality. Since the sphere of their life is not restricted to the present time. Like the body. So only the body is restricted to the present time, but the sphere can, go based on, the sphere of life is not restricted to present time like the body. And included within our great, let me just read this again, included within it are a great many years from the past and great many years from the future. The will ceases being limited and acquires universality. Through the strength of belief, it may enter the deepest valleys of the past and repel the darkness of its sorrows. So too with the light of belief, it may rise as far as the furthest mountain of the future and remove its fears. So once through the will, basically, if one is able to employ their human side, basically hand them over to their heart and spirit, using their consciousness, their reasoning ability. So one, it just doesn't stay limited to this world, basically, because now that you're employing your logical reasoning, your, the evaluating how your feelings are and all your human senses, one can evaluate that, all these things are not just coming from, this world, but they are coming from the one who gives them existence. So you can just go through this, this limited, like this, you can come to this conclusion, to this understanding, this realization, which is way more than what the present limited ability of what the world presents. So through the strength of belief, it may enter the deepest valleys of the past and repel the darkness of its sorrows. So that realization actually, once that connection is being made of the spirit or your human side to its source of existence, then that is what the satisfaction that comes about, and that's what really makes sense to the human being. So let's see. My elderly brothers and sisters are suffering the difficulties of old age like myself, since praise be to God, we are believers. Okay, and in belief are found this many luminous, pleasurable, agreeable, and gratifying treasures. And since our old age impels us even more to the contents of the treasure, for sure, rather than complaining about old age, accompanied by belief, we should offer endless thanks. So whatever changes that one is going through, one should not be complaining, but I'll be offering, be grateful using it and offering thanks to it. So that is what this hope is. And this hope mostly shows that, in all directions, if I can summarize it, everything, if it's just bound to this universe, to this world, then everything seems very dark and sorrowful and hopeless. But once every direction is connected using the faculty of will to, realizing where everything is coming from, then the past, if it's realized, is coming from the source of existence, and your future is also being set by the source of existence, your present is being given by the source of existence, and everything changes in terms of how you see the world, and everything clears up. So as long as the will, that's the human side function, and just doesn't leave it, to the material side of things, but really employing the human faculties to come to the, get the meaning out of whatever this world is offering. Okay, I think I've spoken a lot, so I will pause here, and anybody who wants to comment, please raise your hand. Yes, Brother Ali, please go ahead.
So I should start interacting, inshallah, with you so you wouldn't feel lonely. We are here. There are 13 people, including yourself, myself. So, and there are somewhere around 4 or 5 people here too. What attracted my attention as you went through reading the text? This text is speaking to elderly people tired of life and getting closer to the grave. The future doesn't seem to be very bright. And maybe they are left at this stage of these people, elderly people, they are left with 2 options. The text doesn't try to prove the reality of the message of the Quran under the evidence or with the evidence that we see in creation. Rather, the text uses the human self, himself, human beings themselves, and compare 2 options in front of you. Which one fits your humanity? One is, as he said, without taking notice of the teachings of the revelation, religion in general, believe in God, and believe in the hereafter. Of course, extension of belief in God is believe in the hereafter and the meaning of this existence as they are explained in the revelation, offers the audience here or the reader here as people like you and me, if you are not, even if you are not reached the old age, but you are a candidate of reaching the old age. So you cannot escape it, if not today, but soon. It comes very quickly, as I experience it. So the evidence is used here as far as human feelings are concerned. not as far as the evidence in the creation outside of the universe. And also, the text doesn't go into the detail that human feelings, each feeling has many expectations, and these expectations are not fulfilled in this world because of the nature of this world as being a transient existence. Rather than going outside of the human expectations, but giving a simple comparison between two options. One is not accepting that we have a creator. It means that is, we don't have a creator, nothing, as I am here, getting closer to grave, and I cannot change my past. I cannot really guarantee my future, and the death is inevitable. I am in this condition as far as my own experience of this material world without interpreting the meaning of the existence of the material world, without interpreting the meaning of my own existence. Just taking it at the material level. What do I see? Hopelessness, desperate end of life, going into the grave and rotting there forever. But we are human beings. There's another reality in the creation, in the universe, that there are some people saying, look, we have a creator. And the creator told me this and this and this, how to interpret the universe, how to interpret human senses, how human beings will be comfortable if they follow this, which this idea that I am offering, and human feelings just find it fitting their reality. Otherwise, our human side will be source of our torture. Because human side says, I want happiness. I want to relax. I want hopeful life. I don't want to disappear from existence. I want to even have a better life conditions. But as far as my abilities are concerned, I cannot do anything, and the universe also cannot do anything for me. All the huge galaxies, the whole world, the rest of the billions of peoples cannot help me at all. I am going into non-existence. I am going to rot in the soil. No one can help me, but my reality is that I don't want to be in this position. This contrast leads me, the human beings, to think that what these people are talking about, let me see what they are saying, that we have a creator. And if you use your free will to interpret the creation in such a way that this revelation, this guidance from religious side shows you and follow this interpretation, you will find the result as 100% fitting your human side. It is not a wishful thing. It is my reality. I want this. That is how I am made. That is how I am. I want happiness. I want to guarantee my future that I'm not going into complete non-existence, meaninglessness. All the time I lived in this world, for how many years, 60, 70, 80, whatever. At the end, I am here, and whatever I have done before is they all are gone. I cannot bring it. Whatever will happen to me in the future, I cannot guarantee anything, but at the end of the future tunnel, my life tunnel, I see grave. It contradicts my human reality. There is something wrong. The author says, why don't you take notice of this source, which are the people who say that, look, you have a creator, you have a purpose in your existence. Use your free will and to revise your understanding of existence again. Am I on the right way? Do I take a path? For example, if you know that after driving 50 miles, your car will fall into a cliff and you will be completely destroyed. Will you drive? Will you take this drive? After 50 miles, you will fall into a cliff and disappear, completely die. Will you go into this way? Ask yourself. As a human being, I wouldn't. I know that the end is disaster for me. I don't want it. Why should I take this road? If there is another option which says there is another door here, there's another road here, if you take this, you will fulfill your expectations. Which way do you take? I ask myself, which way do I take? I say definitely, for sure, in one way, I am going to be destroyed and harmed. The other way, they say, look, this way is appropriate to your human reality. Again, people interpret it as human wishful thinking, expectations. No, my human reality wants to be happy with my past and with my future. I don't want to lose my past experience, which I enjoyed, and I don't want to go into a terrible result, terrible end. That's my reality. Author says, use your free will, but be careful. It attracted my attention, a paragraph there, which is the second paragraph from the back. I mean, from the not the beginning, but the end. The second paragraph from the end of the text we today Asim read. Yeah. Second paragraph. So faculty of will. It says, don't use it in order to satisfy what I understood from there. In order to satisfy your bodily needs only. Only. Your bodily needs satisfy, if you satisfy your bodily needs, your body survives. But how long? For how long? Until you go to grave, you die. So bodily needs are not the end purpose, end result. Bodily needs is a temporary solution. But the real solution, the author says, if you give your free will to the reign of to the hands of the heart and your spirit, it means your human feelings. Let your human feelings use your free will in order to look for a solution. And human feelings say, I don't want to die. I want a happy ending for my existence, for my life. I want a happy ending. And you will understand that my heart and spirit wants not only a limited time, but a universal time, which means universal time, universal happiness, universal satisfaction, which means all my feelings must be satisfied. And because heart and spirit looks for eternity, looks for full satisfaction. But body, if you want to give your body, for example, food, but the body needs every day 3 times, 2 times. Fill up the tank, fill up the tank. It is limited and it doesn't have an end. You get hungry again, you get hungry again. But if you realize that your existence is meaningful, if you realize that your existence is given to you by a conscious being, you are a well-organized, existent being. Your body is well-organized, your human feelings are well-organized, and you realize that your human feelings are not limited to material beings, and they cannot be human feelings. They cannot be created, given existence by the matter, by your body elements. They are coming from another world. It means not from the universe. Human feelings do not have any source of existence within the universe. Nothing can be. But seemingly, my body is satisfied through the parts or elements of this material world. But my humanity is the important thing, because my body is going to die, but my humanity doesn't accept it. My humanity looks for eternal solution, universal solution. Universal solution means not limited solution, infinite solution. And the belief in God, which is proposed to us by certain people who are called messengers, who say that this is it is known as in the culture as religion. So religious sources say you have a creator. Your creator is the one who created the whole universe and created you too. And your body is created by him. Your human side is created by him. So if you find a way that I have to attach my existence to my creator who created my human side, and also the needs of human side are created by him, I will say, yeah, if they are created by him, he must satisfy them. But it's created by them. For example, my body is created by him, and the satisfaction of my body is coming from the earth, right? The food, air, light, whatever we need, all come from the earth. But how about my human side? Earth or the universe as it is cannot satisfy my human side. So I have to turn the face of my human side to its creator, who is the creator of the universe, including my creator. So the author says, use your free will to attach your existence, to attach your expectations to the creator of these expectations. Then you will realize that the creator of the universe can satisfy you. Not the universe can satisfy your expectations. So this is only from one perspective, that the author suggests us, if you are already old, then you are desperate to think in this way. Even if you are not old, you know that the old age is expecting you to come soon, sooner or later, but really anything in the future comes very soon. Everybody can think of, let's say, the youngest of us, 21 years old. Yes. So there's a young guy here, 21 years old. So can you imagine how 21 years passed? Very fast, isn't it? So past, finish, gone. Yeah, another 21 years will pass like this. Another 21 years will pass like this. There is an end. So you will say, come on, it was so fast. And you ask, is it worth living in this world in order to die? In order to go into annihilation? Is it worth in this world to live like this with this understanding, completely contradicting the expectations of your human side? Contradicting the expectations of your human side. You see that something is wrong there. So you can easily use your free will to conclude that, yes, whoever gave me all these human needs must be the one who is going to satisfy it. So the only solution for this problem of humanity is to attach our existence to its source, which is the Creator. So the Creator, look at the Creator, how he has demonstrated that he is powerful enough, he is knowledgeable enough, he is merciful enough, he is wise enough to answer my expectations. So communicate with him. That is the only way which doesn't contradict your human expectations. That's what, in summary, what I understood from this, from the text. Listen, use your human free will, listen to your heart, listen to your spirit, it means your human side, and look for a solution as far as the source of existence of these human expectations. Who gave them? Who gave you or me these expectations? Must be the one who is going to satisfy it. There is no other way. All universe cannot save me from falling into annihilation, because they can't. They have no quality to interfere into my life, to change anything in my life, even to change anything in their own existence. They have to follow the order. That's it. They are obliged to follow the order. They are as helpless as I am. How can they help me? So this, actually I found this reasoning here, although it looks like, it sounds, the author is taking belief in God for granted. I don't think he does. That's what I wanted to share with you. He doesn't take belief in God, in the absolute being, for granted, but he helps the reader understand that this is the only way for a human being to find a solution for his detriment future problems. It means that is appropriate to our nature, human nature. Belief in God is appropriate to our human nature. Thank you very much. I spoke a lot. But that foundation, I felt that must be shared together. Or I'm sure you got the answer as well, but I just really articulated it and voiced out. Thank you very much.
Very well, thank you, Brother Ali. So the two options that you said are being presented. One is taking the, just the world as it is and living in the contradiction. And the other one, seeking the solution or what the religion brings and just getting out of this. And like, how can you get out of this contradiction that you are experiencing in this world? And that is what that connection that you were discussing or mentioning in terms of how realizing what your existence, where it is coming from, and how you, in whatever you're doing, how you connect that to your source of existence, and that that source is the one that is really giving you or presenting to you all that is, you're experiencing. And that source is the only one that can satisfy, this, why this contradiction that you have within you in terms of you're making sense of your existence. So on the satisfaction can only come, from that source, because this world, is very clear and everybody realizes it, that, this life that is there, if you just look at it the way the author was describing it, you're born and you do study and then you go to work and then you just die at the end and that's it. Whereas your human side is completely neglected, and I don't know how one can live in the other, the other road if one takes, or the other option that is just without seeking a source of satisfaction or not somebody or getting out of this contradiction. So that was how I understood in the brief summary. And there was a comment from Adam who says it's almost like old age is young age. So I don't know, Adam, would you care to talk about what you meant by that, or any other comment you have to say?
Assalamu alaikum. I probably should have given a comment more on the beginning side of or meaning, I'm not really, when that comment's kind of the conclusion. So we went through this journey of going through the problems, and the big problem, old person is so worried that life will come to an end and life is finishing, but through the methodology we discussed, or that was discussed, and then really coming through belief, everything became young again. Everything is young and is good. So the grave is not the finishing of anything, it's the start of everything. It means you're the closer you are to the grave, then the closer you are to start, to newness. So you maybe are more new than before. So the point is that things are flipped. Belief has flipped everything, and so yeah, old people should not despair. They should find a lot of solace in this, because new life is beginning. Young life it's a young life now.
Thank you for that. Yeah, that makes sense. Anybody else wants to comment or share something? Yes, Fariha, go ahead.
I was also thinking that because this is the only existence that I experience, this is what I know in terms of whatever I experienced, like very experiential, right? Existence, everyone is conscious of their existence. So just taking it then at face value leads to despair or sorrow or yeah, because that part makes sense. And then so one may see with that worldview where this is it, you know, I'm given a certain lifespan here and let me make the best out of it. Whatever is it that I'm doing. And so in that lens or mindset or worldview, one may perceive whatever is in the near future, very apparent, grave, right, dead, death, that's it, to be the end of existence. However, like the way the author presented the case, like really with, you know, like exactly how what we go through, I think, adding on to also Brother Adam's comment and Murmur's comment as well, really, it's just whatever I may perceive to be the end is really the start of something eternal. And I know the author mentioned something about the highway beyond it, which stretched away to eternity. But he was, let me bring it up here on page 293. Where is it? Yeah. Then the highway beyond it was stretched away to eternity. So yeah, what I know, and here he was talking about, I saw that the door of the grave was open, right? Okay, so here he's talking about how with the worldview of just my existence being limited to just the vicinity of what I experience in this universe, then anything beyond it, it's stretched to eternity. So if I take up the whatever, the death point or the grave to be the start of something new or something eternal, like a continuity of my existence here, then it should help me provide solace to the pain that I may experience if I just limit myself to the confinement of this universe only. Yeah, I just wanted to share that part where like the grave is just like the start to something new. It's like a new beginning. Like every moment is a new beginning. Just coming out of the mother's womb is a new beginning. Youth is a new beginning. Middle age is a new beginning. Adult, whatever, when you're approaching the 3 digits, that's a new beginning. So taking everything with that perspective, then yeah, it makes things a little more clear. Yeah, just wanted to share that, but I'm still thinking a little more on this, so I'm not sure if I was eloquently able to express myself. Thanks.
Thank you, Fariha. A new beginning. That's good. So there's some comment by Mariam. Mariam, do you want to speak to your comment?
Yeah, so what I meant by my comment was we're constantly learning. So if we ever if something ever happens to us that makes us say I don't like this, then don't necessarily call it suffering, because you're learning. Like there's always a message behind something that you do in your life. So never call something that you don't enjoy suffering, because it's not always that.
Thank you for sharing that, Mariam. So as I understood, you said whatever you're going through in this life, every experience is your learning, your training, and so that's how you make out of it. If you take a suffering, then you are really not understanding what this lesson is or what this teaching is. That's a beautiful understanding. And I saw H. Beza's hand up, so please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, just piggybacking off of Mariam's comment and what's been said already. Um, one thing that stood out to me from the text was also, like it is necessary for one to be aware of the darkness of the situation that they're in. Like without this experiential aspect, which inevitably, I think that it's a universal human condition, right? That everyone experiences in some way or another. But the acknowledgement of that situation, without that, then there's nowhere to go. If I don't acknowledge the darkness, or as Mariam said, the apparent suffering that I find myself in. So that was one comment that I had that that rose up as a response to the text. And then one other thing, like I think a lot has been said already about the meat of the text, so I don't have much to say as far as that is concerned. But I also found it interesting, like these 6 different directions the author talks about, right? And he represents the first 3 as the past, future, and the present, and then the other ones he refers to as the top of the tree of the life, and then one is like let me see, behind him, the last one is behind him, and the other one is the foot of the tree of life. So I understand like the tree of life as like I guess like when I look at my life as just the bodily aspect of it, right? Then no matter which direction or which way I look to, my human expectations cannot be fulfilled within the limitations of the universe. So then I find myself in this sort of dilemma. And then another thing that I noticed, which was interesting to me, was how like the author goes through these 6 different directions, and then he goes back to the future again. And that was interesting to me because I was unsure why. Like I don't know if there was like a thought process included in that, in the way he's also presenting this in the particular order of the things. And then another thing was how like after the 6 directions, then he uses the wording. He says it made known with complete certainty the true nature of the world. So I think the way I understand it is like through these different experiences of, I feel my human expectations are not being met. That I'm like I look one way and it's like death, and I look another way, it's death again. I look another way, it's death again. And then slowly and slowly, it's illumination. Illumination means like it's already my reality, but it's a matter of unveiling what is already in front of me rather than changing the nature of the reality. And then lastly, one other comment that I can remember was about I'm jumping all over the place, I apologize for that, but was man's will, the faculty of man's will. And as there was an emphasis that was made earlier about, it's interesting to me how, he describes this will as, I can't find the exact wording here, as being limited and as falling short, yet being the means through which man can connect himself to the absolute source. And then there was one other thing. All right, okay, so again, I'm really jumping all over the place, but the from the very end, the 3rd paragraph, not the second to the last, but the 3rd one, he says, the beginning, the second sentence, I'm going to read the first sentence and the second, which is, it's just a 2-sentence paragraph. And belief takes from the hands of the body the reins of the faculty of will, which cannot penetrate to the past and future, and hands them over to the heart and spirit. sense the sphere of life is not restricted to the present time like the body, and included within it are a great many years from the past and a great many years from the future, the will ceases being limited and acquires universality. Okay, I'm going to stop there. The sphere of their life is not restricted to the present time like the body. That I found also interesting here. The sphere of the life, I guess the way that I'm trying to make sense of that is also, again, going back to this like human expectations, constantly like looking for meaning and purpose, and this stretching beyond the limitations of, like, in one sense my body, my physical body, but also in the sense of the universe in and of itself. So yes, I'll just leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Eshbeza. You shared a lot of your excitement on many of those sentences. Yeah, so the sphere of their life is not restricted to present time like the body, and included in a great many years from the past and a great many years from the future. That will see this being limited and acquires universality. Yeah, that was a very interesting phrase in terms of how that was how Brother Ali explained it, also in terms of the will is not only, you know, for the bodily needs, but there's like the human feelings, and you mentioned about the expectation and satisfaction that the human side is seeking, and that is not just a temporary satisfaction, but a complete, full satisfaction, eternal satisfaction that the human being is looking for. So there's, yeah, Zafar, please go ahead.
Yeah, I also thought that that section was interesting. The belief takes from the hands of the body the reins of the faculty of will and hands them over to the heart and spirit. And so what I understand from body is taking this, the physical existence, what I observe physically, thinking that that's reality. And because this physical, what I call physical reality, is ever transient, ever changing, not stationary, it's always goes into not, from the first point of view that was discussed in the piece, it goes into non-existence and not satisfactory at all. In the second view, the physical reality is not taken as essential, but rather plays a supportive role to the meaning that that physical reality brings to me, and that that meaning that is carried to me is the sphere of the heart and the spirit. And that's satisfying. Why? Because let's think of a letter. I used to watch a series when I was young that in which, a team was, in every episode, there was a team of operatives, and their mission was delivered to them through a CD. And as soon as the message was delivered, the CD would, or the player would destroy itself. So, when in this, if you take the physical existence as the as the essence of this existence, then it's being destroyed. However, if you are in the sphere of the heart and the spirit, yes, the physical existence is being taken away every moment, but the message is with me. It stays with me. Past messages are with me. Future messages, I am anxious to get more messages, and so if I'm in the second view that was discussed in the piece, I am in the realm of meaning, the heart and spirit, and I don't experience sorrow because I know that I'm gathering meaning, and I know that that's the essence of this existence. And of course, there is no what was said in the heart is penetrate to the which cannot penetrate to the past and future, and hands them over to the heart and spirit, which penetrates to the past and future in this fashion, because we're in the realm of meaning. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so you said that is the so this universe is like basically a means for us to get to know. This is what I like, how I was taking it, that how it goes from the hands of the body to the faculty of will, which cannot penetrate to the past, future, hand over them to the heart and spirit. So everything that is being experienced is a means, or is the stepping stone, you would say, to to the satisfaction that the human satisfaction that is one is seeking. Okay, so any final comment by anyone? If not, I think this will be a good place to stop for today.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Glory be unto you. We have no knowledge save except that which you've taught us. Indeed, you're all knowledgeable, all wise. وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. آمين.